Everyone always asks, what's the soup's special weakness? Gamma rays, iron daggers, some stupid ridiculous thing? The truth is, their weakness is the same as anyone. It's people.
Bees.
And Sandusky is not the shithole like Akron. There's a Dairy Queen too, like blizzards and stuff. You betcha. We're talking Amazon's The Boys Season 1, Episode 7, The Self-Preservation Society. The AfterBuzz After Show starts right now.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
And of course, we get the thumbs up thing. Self-preservation. Ben Snow is back in the building. Stephen Lemieux is thumbing up everybody's gills. And of course, I am Tehran. I will be hosting and paneling and hosting with this illustrious panel. What's up, guys?
Man, holy crap.
I loved it. I love this 7 episode.
She's destroyed.
This is crazy. There were so many twists in there I didn't see coming, and usually I see everything coming. But this time,
do you?
I do.
You know who saw everything coming? The Deep. All right, let's talk about what we're going to get into this episode. We're going to definitely talk about the Christmas party. Mallory goes to the Butcher. Butcher runs into Mesmer. Woof. And his head runs into a sink. Huey lights Starlight Star. Banging. Park bench. That conversation. Class dismissed. That group gathering. Maeve to the rescue. Surprisingly, Maeve stands up for Starlight. She must be something special. Ooh, burn. We got everyone in the same room. Becca's plan B. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Vocal bomb. Let it rainer. We have some news and gossip, special segment, predictions, and more. We have so much to talk about in this episode. Episode 7 of Amazon's The Boys Season 1. Episode 7, of course, the Self-Preservation Society. Say that 5 times fast, Steven.
Self-Preservation Society, Self-Preservation Society, Self-Preservation Society, Self-Preservation Society, Self-Preservation Society, Self-Preservation Society.
That's 6.
Whoa.
You messed up. Didn't do it right.
I'm done.
What
I'm
were
sorry,
your
guys.
overall thoughts on this episode?
I thought this episode was phenomenal. I mean, we've seen the big setup for Starlight getting her heart broken. I did not see them teasing it as if Homelander thinks that she is working with Huey. I thought that was a really interesting take, and I don't know if that's what Homelander actually believes or if he's just trying to devastate her more, but it would be interesting to move forward with his perception being that she's working with Huey. I love that. The baby thing, terrifying, makes sense. Obviously, we know that if a super is going to have a baby hybrid with a human, maybe it should be the female super that maybe the woman should be a super in that situation so her uterus can handle super strength baby syndrome. And unfortunately, the baby died. I don't think the baby died.
Yeah, that's a conversation. We'll get into that in predictions. Ben Snow?
Yeah, honestly, what I felt is I think that was the first time for me that I realized that the superpower people now realize that they're actually humans in a way. That's what I feel about it, because now they feel that the whole organization is kind of working against them too, or letting them do things that they actually don't really believe in, but they still do it because they're part of the game in a way, right? But every time when they're filming stuff and they say, hey, you should say something like that, every one of them doesn't feel it anymore. I don't know if you see that in their faces. They don't believe it actually anymore, but they have to do it because they're part of the whole construction, you know. And I find it very interesting.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think the suspension...
Cut off did mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I think the suspension of disbelief in this show, the only thing that if you think about it kind of takes you out of it, is the fact that all of this is happening now as opposed to continuously since the start, right? Because, you know, we have this world building in that they're all after these points and they're all after like money, but none of these characters really seem that they're actually after money. So how has Vought been, you know, building this house of cards up so far? Because it just feels like very quickly things have been deteriorating and nobody really cares about money, but that seems to be what was pitched as their incentive.
I don't know if I can agree with that, and I'll tell you why. I feel like it's got that celebrity, but also in this way, where they're traded to different cities, as we saw with the Deep, it's a sports team. And so while people always look at it like, well, why did so-and-so go to Miami? They could have took a pay. It's just a couple $1 million. Yeah, well, yes, but it's a couple $1 million. Money isn't the motivating factor. It's the fame, it's the celebrity, it's all of it in the package, all into one. being on the 7 means that you're actually on the winning team. You're the top of the top. And I think it all becomes a drug. So Compound V isn't just the superhero serum. It's also the lifestyle that they live. They are addicted to being gods. They're addicted to being important. And that is something that's very true with every celebrity.
I totally get that, but we still have to say, if you think about sports teams these days, they still have kind of a private life. So I think they're trying to have the fame and the celebrity status that they have.
Who
outside.
has a private life?
You know,
Who?
I mean,
we know everything about LeBron. We get mad at this guy for bringing his kids to a layup line.
I get that.
People know everything about every single star.
I know what you mean, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, hey, but he still has a kid, he still has a wife, and he has a family, right? Homelander, for example, has nobody. Homelander has nobody. If you watch the scene again, you see that he's basically grown up in a laboratory.
Sure.
And he feels and he realizes that. When he goes to the doctor, that's when he wanted to find out, hey, why did I have to live this life? I don't want to have this life. You know, so I feel it's different than LeBron James' life, for example, because he has a family, he has a kid, even if he's out there. But he's still trying to be private at some point. You know?
Even though we treat him like a superhero, LeBron James is still a regular person. The reason Homelander doesn't have a wife or kids is not only because he was raised in this laboratory, he's a sociopath, but he does try to claim these things. He tries to get the mother figure. He obviously is disappointing his quote-unquote father figure, and he's trying to wife up Maeve in whatever way he possibly can. So the concept is he's always looking for it in the wrong places. So don't look at the existential, as much as people hate on LeBron James. This is a pretty good guy. He's married to his high school sweetheart, has kids.
Oh, yeah.
We have those celebrities who are the exact opposite of that, who we know are pieces of shit, and we let them be. And so they're lonely and alone, and it happens.
Do you think it's like, not to bring up Michael Jackson, but is it like a Michael Jackson syndrome of sorts, where he didn't have a childhood because of the entertainment and the celebrity, and Homelander's in the same way trying to chase that aspect of humanity. So he can't relate to humans because he's not one. He has nothing in common with them, whether it's power is what he's made of or how he was raised. But he still has all the emotional deficiencies as humans, and he's just grasping at straws, trying to find ways to connect with his humanity while at the same time denying it.
Yeah, because the average person doesn't know what it feels like to be a celebrity or a superstar. No one understands that aspect of...
Just you, Tehran.
I understand it, of course, but I'm saying the average person really doesn't. They don't understand what it's like to... You perform one day, when you perform for 100,000 people, that rush that you get, the next day, you're just feeding your cats. That is a huge high and low that a lot of celebrities go through. And unfortunately, we see the repercussions when we see celebrity deaths and suicides and overdoses and drug use. We see that often. And we're like, why? They have everything. No, they have everything that you think you want, but you don't know what it is. That's what it is. That's why we say things, be careful what you wish for.
That's right.
And that's where we see a lot of celebrity life in this lifestyle because they are celebrities. There is no one higher than them. And the way that celebrities are treated like gods, these are actual people with godlike powers who are being treated like celebrities. It's an interesting dichotomy. And
I can see this.
What I liked about this episode is to watch that play out. And we learned the most amount of information in one episode. In this one, we see a story arc. We get a lot of bet you didn't see that coming moments. We get Rainer. We get Annie. I mean, this episode was an hour, and yet it felt like 6.
Yeah, for sure.
It felt like 6 in 6 minutes at the same time because it went by so quick, and yet we got so much information. Let's talk about some of that information. The Christmas party. We get that Christmas party scene that's a flashback.
He didn't always hate supers.
To 8 years ago. Did not always hate supers. Did not always want to hunt them down.
Yeah. Billy Butcher without scars on his face. Billy Butcher with a wife. Billy Butcher with potentially soon to have a family.
Right.
All of that taken away by Homelander.
Yeah. I was a little surprised, I didn't see that coming, for example. I wasn't really thinking about a wife. I wasn't thinking about Billy Butcher having a wife or something like that. So that's why I was very surprised.
Well, we've been teased with Becca throughout the entirety of the season. We maybe not realized that Becca was his wife per se, but we did know he had a specific love interest. And that's by love interest, we knew he was actually in love with this person, not the way he was hooking up, quote unquote, with Rainer. This is someone he cared about, someone who he loved enough to take interest in her musical selections and choices and groups. After her death, this is someone who he refused to let go of because he loves her so much.
Yeah, he's obviously out of his element at these VOT company meetings. We don't really know what his job was at the time, so we don't know anything really about Billy from the past. But we do know that what broke him was not her disappearance. It was Mallory entering the picture, and we see Mallory now showing him the video of the last known, like, not the last known sighting ever, but, like, what changed her.
What changed her. And I do want to point out that you had a prediction, which the video was taken after she had disappeared, but that's not particularly the case.
Yeah.
They just say 8 years, and he says 8 years, and the video's from 8 years.
God forbid I take writing seriously. I'm just kidding. Or maybe this is in 2020. Like, I don't know. Whatever.
It's within the reasonable time. So, because a lot of people had brought that up, and I just want to make sure everyone understands that was just a concept Stephen had thrown out there, and it wasn't.
I'm just interpreting in my own way.
Exactly. This wasn't canon. He was just making it, and we came up with that, and now we realize that he was wrong. But something you were right about is that Mallory, first of all, was a woman, and second of all, was the boss, which you had predicted correctly. And we see Mallory's appearance. Ben, what were your opinions on Mallory?
I really didn't really know what I should think about her, to be honest, right? I think she's like a mystery to me, to be frankly honest, you know? So, I don't know. I felt like I still have to see more about that, to be frankly honest.
I feel like
she just came in and I don't know. I just watched it and I didn't really feel anything about her in the first moment.
I feel like she is Billy. And I think it's like passing down the torch, like in a certain way. Like the way she acts when she's introducing Billy to the concept of supers. And
he has no idea what happened to Becca.
So you think that Mallory has manipulated Butcher?
I think that if Becca found out that she was pregnant by an extramarital affair and then had to go home, that would be a shook attitude and characteristic as well. I don't know which one works.
True. I don't think that it was an affair. In the sense that it might not have been the first time that they hooked up.
What my concept is, as an affair, it was consensual.
Yeah, I don't think it was consensual.
No.
I will find out. I mean, it's possible. We need to find out what's going on in this world. Now, what else we find out is that Mallory goes to Butcher. Butcher becomes this person that we've seen throughout. Now, what happens when Butcher runs into Mesmer? Mesmer they figure out that it's Mesmer quickly. At first, Starlight is implicated, but then it's like Mother's Milk points out, Starlight never saw me at all. Mesmer. Butcher runs into Mesmer.
I think he planned to run into Mesmer. I think he put the tracking device on him because he knew that Mesmer was going to do some shady-ish. And yeah, I think he planned to kill him from the start.
Man, that scene in the bathroom.
That was crazy. That was insane. I didn't see like that brutal. I didn't see that coming that brutal, to be honest, that they really show it that way. But, you know, I like him as an actor, too, I have to say. You know, I was thinking, oh my God, I love this guy. And it took me a second to recognize him, actually. He looks so different like a kid, as a kid back then. But I like this guy, but I was like, I wanted to see more of him, so I was a little sad about that he's already out of the picture right now, to be frankly honest, you know. Yeah. But I think he did set up a lot of stuff on purpose, but then on the other hand, when I remember, like, he has a daughter, and then I was just like, why would you do all these things? And then he's basically grabbing him, like Butcher is grabbing him on his head or something like that, and then he sees some stuff, right? And what I didn't understand is when Billy does that, and he's still talking to him and says, hey, you know what, I can help you. I saw some stuff. I can tell you what happened. He's still killing him. Well, that was a little surprising.
No, that was the first time. And then he did it again to show his intention, like...
let me show you how I'm going to kill you.
This is what's going to happen to you. And Mesmer is freaked out by that second vision of how ruthless that Billy Butcher can be. Because the first vision is of course, Becca, but the second one is, you're going down.
I really wanted more of that fight. Honestly, I wanted it to be longer. I thought the writing and the direction on that scene was really great. I wouldn't be surprised if that was straight out of the comics, where every time he punches him, it cuts to a flashback or something that's on Billy's mind, and it's his intention behind what's going through his mind. I just would have liked 4 more. I thought it was a really great dynamic that they could have sped up and then ended on him touching his head.
You wanted more flashbacks.
Yeah, I think it could have, like... We only got 2. And I think I get what they did by not showing us for the last one, but I felt like there could have been more quick flashbacks with a few more slugs before he totally
I
gave
think you
him
just
the
wanted
bathroom
more
sink.
of this show because honestly, the fact that we got any flashbacks is amazing. Plus, he bashed his head on a sink, and that looked so realistic. The face, if you saw the head, I know that's not really Haley Joel Osment at that point, but man,
It looked crazy.
that looked crazy.
I know.
It was vicious. It was brutal. Did you think Billy Butcher had this in him?
Yes, but he looks more insane than I've ever seen him in that scene.
For sure. But I'm still asking myself, like, if he told him like a second before, hey, I can show you, I can tell you information that you don't know about yet.
Why would you trust him?
Still? I mean, why not? Why not just
Because
keeping
he
him alive?
already ratted
like-
on
But
him.
why not? Why still not just keeping him alive, as you just said, and just spend more time with him and just get even more information, then kill him?
Kill his ass.
Hey, Billy has no information from Mesmer to get. So Mesmer would have to go and get the information from others. It wasn't going to be from Billy. Billy doesn't know any information that he can utilize.
Yeah, Mesmer can't read Billy's mind and give Billy more information. And plus, like, they'd have to drag him around, do the same thing they did last time, and he's just going to set him up again.
Actually, the one thing we realize is that when Billy said kill him in the first place, that's probably was the best course of action. And it's unfortunate to have to say that, but that's what this show does, is it makes us blur those lines. So at home, what do you guys think? Should Billy have killed Mesmer last episode, and did he do or should he have let him live and let this play out? Comment below. We'd love to hear from you because, of course, you guys are as much, if not more so, a part of this panel than all of us.
It sucks, and you guys can definitely support us by hitting that thumbs up button right now, sharing this video with your friends if they watch The Boys, telling your friends to watch The Boys because it's a good show to watch, and subscribing to the channel AfterBuzz TV Sci-Fi and checking us out on all podcasting apps. It's unfortunate because every time something happens that could push Billy to be more empathetic towards Soups, they only just serve to prove him right, which pushes him further off the deep end in terms of wanting to kill them. So now it's like he did let Billy off. He planted a tracker, but he let him off, and I don't think they're going to do that again. I think the next person who gets between him and whatever he wants is dead. And we see that again when he shoots freaking Starlight in the chest with bullets.
Yeah, that was. I mean, honestly, talking about this scene right now, right, the very end. What do you guys feel about, like, Hugh? Did he know that Billy is gonna come up in a way? Because honestly, I wasn't really like, he wasn't completely shocked or completely down when he saw that she's on the ground, like hit by a gun or whatever, and he's just leaving with Billy. But he didn't really feel very sad about that. I don't know how you feel about the scene. You know what I mean? When she got shot, she's on the floor, he's on the ground. Billy is taking him, and they run off. And I was like,
he knows that she's not hurt permanently. She's a super.
Yeah, but he's also saying to Billy, hey, I didn't need your help or whatever. I didn't ask you for help or something.
Yeah,
like
because
that.
he wanted to deal with it. He wanted to deal with Huey with Annie on his own. I mean, he is in love, or at least as close to it as possible, with Annie.
But if he's telling him, hey, I didn't want your help, that basically means that's actually the right thing that Billy did in a way. Not really shooting her, but it's still a help. So it's still something positive that Billy did for Huey. You know what I'm saying? So
I know what you're saying. I think it is positive that Billy was there. I don't think it was planned ahead of time.
Right.
I think I wasn't expecting it being Billy with the gun.
Me neither. Yeah,
but then when I saw that it was Billy, I was like, okay, Billy's been tracking Huey every time he goes out on his own.
Of course he has.
Regardless of Huey wanting him to or not.
Sure.
And in this situation, there's no way Huey gets away from Starlight without her turning him in. Even if he can convince her of Compound V, she's too innocent and too naive to think that Homelander would go kill Huey right away.
Yeah.
She would still think, well, let's put you in safe custody or blah, blah, blah. But we already know that, like, Vought probably has cops on the inside that are bought, and probably he's right. He tells her, like, I won't survive the night. But I'm more curious, and if we're, I guess, talking about Starlight now, I don't know if we can, I'm more curious how she's going to handle this information about Compound V creates supers.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about Starlight and this. First of all, Huey and Starlight have sex, make love.
okay.
Thank you. That's Ryan in the booth. He's also keeping an eye on our chat, and we affectionately call him Impotent Man because he's the farthest thing from a dick as we have on this show.
I mean, cut off, pull out, Impotent Man,
and German.
Oh, thank you.
Which we got fairly criticized on YouTube for calling you German.
But it's okay.
Did we?
Yeah.
By who?
Oh, really?
Somebody said that we're racist for calling him German.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, we are.
Really?
He's German.
I still
Just to
love
let you know, guys, we had someone who thought German was a race, and that guy was racist. So that's not actually a thing.
But I still love those guys.
German is not a
No,
race.
you're
I
good.
just want to make sure everyone knows
Just
that.
interesting.
But no, but what I wanted to say about it is like I saw it coming. I mean, they're gonna have sex. That was a fact for me anyway. But what I find very interesting, I feel like if I'm correct, Starlight is the only superhero right now in this show who was actually growing up with her mom.
Yeah.
So
and-
that's interesting. So from her perspective, what I would do, I would go to my mom first in a way. Hey, mom, what did you do with me as a baby? Come on, tell me the truth.
Well, she didn't know that until after the park bench, so we don't
Exactly.
get to see that.
No,
But,
I'm just saying that's the next thing that I
That
think
has to be
of,
a step. There
you
has to
know?
be a
That's
conflict
what
there.
I would do. I think if I would be her.
And
you know?
it makes sense that that's what she would do, especially after the expo where her mom says, I've been planning this for 23 years.
Sure.
So her mom definitely has been trying to get involved with VOD Industries, and I wouldn't be surprised if her mom's involved in them deeper than we know already.
Or she volunteered her child. I mean, that could be a thing. Let's not forget that these kind of experiments are things that have been done to people. MK Ultra is a real program that happened, and we actually know several of the MK Ultra recipients because one became the Unabomber, and the other person became Whitey Bulger. That's two people that were involved in MK Ultra, if nothing else.
I think that this is, unfortunately, in the last episode, going to give Homelander fuel to connect with Starlight. Because we see Fogel, and we'll talk about him in a second, but telling Homelander that you're a failure because we should have raised you with a mother and father in a family situation. And now we see that's what we did with Starlight. And I think Starlight's just another experiment with Fogel.
Yeah.
Good point. They're very good point.
So I think
see that.
Homelander's going to learn this and use it to manipulate Starlight.
It's very possible. I mean, that
Interesting.
park bench scene was very heartfelt. Here we have Annie, not even Starlight. Annie is very heartbroken. She's heartbroken. She says it to Huey. She says, "You were the only thing I could count on."
But I still think there's a semblance of hope in her heart that he's doing something that possibly makes sense in some way. Otherwise, she wouldn't have met with him. She would have set him up just like...
And that's what I thought was going to happen when the first situation with the bench. I thought this is possibly a setup. She's playing into the hands. They've been following her too.
Yeah.
They've been noticing what she's been doing. So maybe this is set up. Then, of course, he comes out with the compound V
tidbit.
Yeah, with that bit of information right before Billy shoots her, and that was about to turn the tide in some way. What is Compound V?
Yeah.
She has no idea.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we're going to have to deal with A-Train at some point, too. Huey is really coming into his own with some of these plans and things like that. And with the meeting between his father and A-Train and him, man, they're going to have to figure out how Billy took on a super.
Of course. Well, let's go through the burns. So here we get everyone's burned. Everyone realizes it, and they have to rush. I was annoyed by how long it was taking Mother's Milk to get out of that
Yeah,
house.
he's like, I'm going to go chill at my house for a bit. Maybe
Get the toys. We don't have time.
make
Let's
a
go.
waffle.
Let's go. Like, let's go. We got a phone call. See, it'd be different if they weren't all privy to the fact that Huey got a phone call that
Right.
A-Train was at the house.
Right? They know where all of them live. They were all burned.
They were all burned.
And I said
they've
last
been
ep-
looking for Frenchie, but
I'll cop to the fact of how wrong I was last after show where I was like, yeah, I don't think the pictures were that in focus. No, they were like really in focus.
they were like they were as a class pictures.
Yeah, it was like, why
They were
not?
like a photo shoot.
They had lower thirds and everything.
Little tidbit of information. Simon Pegg is apparently the basis of Huey Campbell from the original comic books, and the comic book character was drawn to look like him and be like him, and so now we get a nod to that. So good job to the cast for actually getting Simon Pegg on board.
It was also kind of an interesting tidbit that he didn't want to bring Starlight to his house. He rented a hotel room just for them to hook
Well,
up.
yeah, he's ruined. If you remember the last time he was at his house, he knocked everything around in his room. And who wants to take Starlight to his house, like to a regular house? Like I
Yeah.
live with my parents. That's not really where you take Starlight. It was actually a nice gesture.
And what I also wanted to mention, I changed the topic just a little bit, coming back to Homelander, I just wanted to mention that because I felt that was a very important scene. Is that when they've been in the meeting room and Queen Maeve is also in the meeting room, that she was able to influence Homelander too, which was like, wow, interesting. I just saw that with the boss before. The same kind of feeling I had with the boss. Now I had the same feeling with Queen Maeve too, which looks to me like that he has some mother issues in a way. Not really growing up with parents or something, you know.
Well, what's really cool about what you're getting at is what Maeve says to Starlight. She says, "We all have a weakness. It's people."
That's right.
And it's true because Maeve uses her humanity to play to the narcissism of Homelander to manipulate him.
Yeah.
Huey plays to the narcissism of A-Train to catch him off guard with that lead pipe.
Right.
Like every time a hero's caught off guard, it's being played in the narcissism. Plus, you see that Translucent tried to do that to Huey, but it misfired because he wasn't a human playing to Huey's narcissism because Huey doesn't have much narcissism.
That's right.
He's fighting for somebody else as opposed to himself.
Yeah, so we get that burn, of course, with we get the first burn, which is going to go with Huey going to his dad's. Let's talk about that one, where Huey now has to save his dad.
Yeah.
You mean when he comes home and then at some point, like...
No.
Like,
A-Train is at the house.
Okay,
he gets the
gotcha.
phone call, and A-Train is basically threatening to kill his dad.
This is a Comic-Con
and
exclusive from
Yeah.
2016.
I like that scene, especially that scene too, because I feel like that was the very first time where I felt like Huey is taken over now. He's in control now. He's not frightened anymore. He knows exactly what he's doing. He has a plan. He has even the girl, right, like hiding somewhere, so A-Train couldn't even find her at the beginning. And then they basically just knock him down, right? And I found it a very powerful scene, which shows the arc of Huey in a way. Because at the beginning, think about the very first episode, what kind of person he was. Like the shy, like an introverted guy, didn't really know what he was doing. And now he becomes this kind of man, grown-up man, knows exactly what he does, and he knows what he goes for and who he loves and wants to help and save, you know? And I really like that arc throughout the show, to be honest.
I just had a huge realization that might be a big prediction. But we have A-Train talking to his brother, right?
That's right.
And his brother basically saying you got to stop doing the V compound. He knows about the V compound and things like that. What if A-Train's brother is Black Noir? Because it's the only person who doesn't have like an alter ego that's fairly obvious.
Really interesting. You don't know a lot about Black Noir, I know, for some reason.
And we talk about A-Train, he's got powers. His brother might have powers too. His whole family might have been part of that whole thing.
I don't think so, but we'll see that prediction if it comes true.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to look at people. I was like, could Mother's Milk be Black Noir? And I'm like, wait, no.
No.
The question that I still have, though, is because we see A-Train with his brother at the track, right, to basically trying to have the same speed as before, and he's not making it anymore. The question that I had when I was watching it, why is he losing his power, but the other people don't really lose it?
Well, the doctor said his heart's getting larger, his balls are getting smaller. It's just like a steroid.
It's also it's a side effect of Compound V. He's been using it to juice up, and now it's actually affecting him in a negative way.
And
it's burning him out.
He hasn't been off of it long enough. Like you can't smoke cigarettes for 6 months and then run as fast as you used to. You need some time to clear the crap out of your system. And he's not. He's got to eat 3,000 calories a day, which is pretty interesting to know. Or 3,000 calories an hour?
An hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God. Michael Phelps status.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's way more than Michael Phelps status. This is one of those things where we learned a lot about those two, and then we get into this meeting that Ben was talking about. So we get this class dismissed meeting. That's the one where Homelander has now brought everyone in and goes, "Oh, I just missed you guys," and then gets into it, and then accuses Annie.
We're down to 5. That's
Ever since you came on,
villainish.
Yeah. Ever since you came aboard, this seems like it's your fault.
Notice that he only brings up Huey, though. He doesn't tell them about anyone else because he learns with Billy, he wants to know what the deal is.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if he even knows that happened.
What happened?
What do you mean?
I don't think he wasn't even aware of Billy's wife disappearing or anything.
I don't think so. He had no clue.
Like, he didn't even know why somebody he recognizes as Becca's husband is like after him.
Yeah, 100%.
And now he wants to know why.
Investigate.
And he turns down Madeline's like date night to find out.
Which is the first time. First
powerful.
time he turned down Madeline's manipulation, and Madeline is caught off guard to the point where she informs Jonah Vogelbaum, the doctor. So we get this investigation after the accusation to Starlight. We get the investigation. Maeve, of course, stands up for Starlight, which is her moment of humanity. Talk about this investigation. What were your thoughts about turning down Stillwell's invitation and then visiting Vogelbaum?
I feel like he understands actually what actually happened to him in his life. I feel like he's just trying to get back in time to really understand why he is that person he is today.
Who is he?
Like a Homelander. So I really feel like that he's realizing and reflecting even more now who he actually is today. I think he doesn't even like himself. That's how I feel. He learns that he doesn't even like himself and what he does. But I think he has a very hard time because he went too far already. And he, on the other side, still likes his power. So I think he's kind of in between. He wants to be very human in a way. He wants to have a family and kids and whatever. But he also wants to be the celebrity. He wants to be famous and go out there and do whatever he wants. And I think he has a very hard time to decide who he wants to be at the end. That's what I feel.
I think we just learned so much information that they're going to play with in season 2.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think the baby's dead.
I believe that
You don't think the baby's dead?
I don't think the baby's dead, but I think that scene was terrifying with it using the heat vision through her stomach.
And then clawing out.
it. Like, that's not a fun way to die.
You know what I thought? I have to say that right now. Because I thought when I learned about the baby and Homelander's baby and then thinking about Madeline and just getting the milk done for the baby, I was just like, but then I thought about it's 8 years, right? So the kid is 8 years now by now or whatever. So he wouldn't really breastfeed him. Or
the kid is possibly adult sized now.
Yeah,
Again,
exactly.
he came to term within weeks, it seemed like, or days. She went to the doctor. It seemed like next day she was giving birth after signing the NDA.
Yeah.
The interesting thing that I want to ask you guys, and we're almost out of time, so I want to just be quick on it. Do you think Becca's still alive? Because Becca's an outlier. Right? Becca is the first person to be able to become pregnant off of a super. And if they can breed supers through her, why would they waste all the compound V? So why not say that she's dead? Vogelbaum might have her locked in a lab somewhere, constantly impregnating her.
Let's get into that in predictions. Let's talk about Raynor. Raynor to the rescue. Let it Raynor. Raynor comes in and Billy makes that deal after Mother's Milk's plea. Raynor comes in, makes the deal, can't promise Homelander, but then goes directly to Stillwell and says, hey, this is what we have. You're going to get effed.
You're indelibly screwed. You're screwed.
What were your thoughts on that scene?
I think she felt so weak to me. Like Madeline felt so weak to me in that moment. I was like, wow. Look where she is now, right? I think she's still going to come up with something crazy in season 2, right? I think she's still like a woman. She's never going to give up. I think she's definitely comes up with something, right? Even that the companies go down the toilet or whatever. I think she's definitely going to be one of the main figures when it comes also to the sub-terrorists, to be honest, right? Because we learned that these people exist now. And I think, and as you tell, when she's leaving the room, Madeline is actually, oh, are you okay? Is everything okay? So she knows exactly what she's going to see in the next moment. So she knows exactly what she's doing. Even that she comes across weak in this office and she's telling her all that shit that the companies goes down. She feels a little weak, but I think she's still capable of knowing what she can do, what power she has. You know what I'm saying? So
I don't think Madeline knows about the terrorist soups.
Really?
I don't think she knows at all.
Oh, wow.
I think that is completely
interesting.
Either Edgar or that's something that Homelander is setting up.
Oh.
That's something even more. I personally think Madeline knows because she seems to have a contingency plan for everything, and that's what it was. Is, what's going on? Our plan is coming to fruition. Let's see what happens. Let's get into some news and gossip. AfterBuzz TV News. So, just some news and gossip from Uprocks. The boys ditched one racy scene. It's a sex scene for being too expensive to shoot, but it might surface in season 2. Amazon's The Boys basically is doing a big scene, and we get to see it in season 2. And they say you might not believe some of the items written on the whiteboard in the writer's room for The Boys. One on Kripke's wish list for the sex club scene was an Iceman having sex with a woman doggy style when she's wearing a fur coat. That, believe it or not, didn't get rejected because anyone clutched their pearls. It was rejected it because it was logistically too difficult to mount on our budget, the showrunner says, but now he's writing that down as something to hopefully take on in season 2. So we're going to get a lot more in season 2, and it's going to get a lot darker, deeper, and go further with everything, but we can't wait to see that season finale. Let's get into that special segment.
The worst case scenario.
A worst case scenario, of course, where we take a superhero and take their
villain.
powers all the way.
So, Magneto. How can Magneto's powers go wrong?
So Magneto decides to overload and his magnet powers, and it takes coins from everyone's couch, but they're still sitting on them. So these coins go through all the people in the world. They just like impale them as Magneto just is about to die, and he gives us one last burst of magnet power.
Okay, let me think about it. I mean, honestly, the worst case scenario I can think of that he's just making a huge mistake, and he thinks like these weapons that he's seeing in front of them are not real, and at some point he basically just pulls the trigger, and all these guns are basically towards him. But still, he's not going to be dead anyway, so but still.
I think that he walks around town, and just the magnetic abilities that he subconsciously exudes sets everyone who has a pacemaker off and gives everyone heart attacks. So he's just literally like walking through the streets of New York, and you just randomly see people.
A bunch of Hueys just breaking Annie's heart all over again. Okay, let's not break any more hearts. Man. Where can people find you if you want to be found? Stephen Lemieux.
You guys can find me on Twitter at Stephen Lemieux, and I also can't help but realize we didn't mention briefly the fish sex scene where she tries to noodle.
Yes.
She tries to noodle the deep. Noodling is when you catch catfish through the gills. So, yeah, that was not lost on us. The deep is actually getting his own version of sexual harassment, dealing with him, and he's not having a good time with it.
You like that? You like him in your gills? All right, go on. Stephen, where can they find you?
I said at Stephen Lemieux.
Snow.
You can find me on Instagram. It's at Benjamin Schnau, Benjamin SCHNAU, and also on Facebook, Benjamin Schnau.
And you have to actually write it with the German accent. Of course, you can find me at I Am Tehran all across the board. I Am Tehran. Of course, you can find me hosting and paneling on a slew of other AfterBuzz after shows because your favorite shows are my favorite shows too. We did want to get into predictions, but we want to get into watching that next episode because we're going to watch it right now and be right back with the next episode, the final episode of Amazon's The Boys Season 1, Episode 8, right back. So be back with us. Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.